And now I'd like to welcome to the stage my mother, Secretary Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Hey, hi everybody. Hello. Thank you. Wow. I've been getting play-by-play reports.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you. So yes, please sit down so everyone can see. And just again, to echo on behalf of my whole family, we really hope that you've had a terrific time here at the University of Miami and with CGIU. Mom?
Well, I've been following the commitments and the activities, getting reports about what everyone has been doing, and I'm thrilled. This program has created more and more opportunities for all of you and those who came before, and hopefully those who will come after for many years, to not only make a commitment, but to meet others and to figure out what you can do to make a difference. Now, we're delighted right now to have this opportunity to give you a special preview of the No Ceilings project that Chelsea and I have been working on. This is a global data project which measures the gains that women and girls have made around the world over the past 20 years, but also to highlight the gaps that remain. You'll be able to explore all the stories and data for yourself at noceilings.org. It's designed for you and for people all over the world to learn something fast or to take a deep dive into the areas that interest you the most. It's accessible, visual, shareable, even snackable. And because of Chelsea's leadership, we have really created this for young people, not only to share and to learn from, but to be inspired by and to spur you to action. And of course, at CGIU over the past years, there have been a lot of projects that have been focused on women and girls around the world, and we hope this will add to even more ideas.
So just to continue what my mom was saying, we hope that you will not only access the data, we hope you'll interact with the data, we hope you'll share with what compels you, what frustrates you, what angers you, and ultimately we hope that you'll use the data to inform and propel your work, because we believe that every commitment that you're working on and all the work that all of us feel called to do ultimately has a gender dynamic to it. It is so important that we think about women and girls at the center of our commitments, whether they're made here at CGIU or more broadly. So please use the data, share the data, talk about the data, and as ever, give us your feedback on the data and how we can make it even more useful for you and your friends.
Because frankly, we couldn't think of a better audience to be the first to share this data with, because a lot of the changes that we need to make to build a future of equality and opportunity for everyone is the work of every one of you, as well as so many millions more around the world. You can see how progress is made by looking at what happened this weekend in Selma, Alabama, where our country is marking a historic anniversary of the long march toward equality and a more perfect union, but also recommitting to carry the cause forward into the 21st century. If you get a chance tonight or tomorrow, look at the speeches. First, the introduction by Congressman John Lewis, one of the great heroes of Selma and one of the great exemplars of civil rights and human rights, introducing President Obama, who gave just a superb speech about the progress we've made, but the imperative that we keep making more. So whether it's women's rights or human rights, civil rights or LGBT rights, we're counting on all of you to lead the way, and that's what the No Ceilings initiative at the Clinton Foundation is really all about.
So to continue to emphasize, because it's worth even belaboring, we need everyone to engage to ensure that every girl and every woman everywhere has the right to participate in each of our lives as we feel called to do. And I'm so grateful that I had parents who ensured that I believed that I expected that, and also helped me understand that there were many girls and many women in many places around the world who were not so fortunate. Not so fortunate to have parents who instilled those values, and not so fortunate to live in societies who shared those expectations and those norms.
You know, Chelsea's really right about that, as you are about to see from this data. I know we've been flashing some panels up on the big screens, and that's really why in 2013, Chelsea and I launched this full participation project at the Clinton Foundation with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Together, we have been analyzing mounds and mounds of data and trying to figure out, parse through it, how far we've come in education, health, economic opportunity, security, and so much more.
So as the data nerd that I'm proud to be, and I know that that's probably a pretty common characteristic in this room, yeah, love that.
Let's hear it for the data nerds, right?
I am so excited to be talking about this. As my mom mentioned, we've gathered data across so many different sectors and spheres from more than 190 countries, and we have almost 1 million unique data points alone.
So I'll give you just one quick example. We really took our starting point, 1995, when there was the UN Conference on Women in Beijing, China. And out of that conference came an agreement called a Platform for Action for the Full Participation of Women and Girls that was signed by 189 countries. And there were a lot of commitments made, like what we do here at CGIU. And one of them was to try to get more girls into school and make sure that they attend and they graduate. Well, more girls are going to primary school. Another was to make sure that we lowered the rate of maternal mortality. More mothers are getting access to health care. Another was to try to bring women into the circle of legal rights in their societies. And there are more laws on the books protecting women's rights. So that's the good news, and you'll see a lot of good news in the report when it's issued on Monday. But there's also a lot of unfinished business. For example, we've gotten girls into primary school, but not into secondary school. We've gotten more women to contribute to the economic well-being of their families, but they're by no means where they should be in terms of economic participation or representation in leadership positions. And there is a still very serious problem about personal security, both in the home, in the community, on conflict zones, and so much else. So what we're trying to do, honestly, and we worked with a number of partners to take these million data points and digest them down so that we can have a very good foundation for figuring out what we do next.
And it's also really important that this conversation isn't what we say in my family, just preaching to the choir. We need to ensure that people who aren't data nerds don't become intimidated by the fact that there are almost 1 million data points and can engage in ways that feel authentic and resonate. We need to ensure that we're talking to the boys and the men in our lives. I'm thrilled that so many of the young men here have been nodding enthusiastically. Make sure that your friends also nod enthusiastically that this is important and that we need you to help finally solve the gross gender inequities that still exist across the world. We need to talk to policymakers, to business leaders, to university professors, to faith leaders, to everyone, to ensure that we all feel equally invested in moving toward the future that I know all of us want to live in.
So for us, it's pretty simple. Full and equal participation is in everyone's best interest, men, women, boys, girls, because when everyone has the opportunity to lift him or herself up, that benefits not just the individual, but families, communities, countries, and our world. So this has to be a universal concern with universal remedies.
So let's take a closer look at the data, which I hope is magically appearing on either side of us. As my mom mentioned earlier, more women are protected under laws around the world than has ever been true before. More than 80% of national constitutions now include language that guarantees gender equality.
And that's real progress, but as Chelsea likes to say, we can't mistake progress for success. After all, laws only matter if they're enforced, and too often that is not happening. There are still too many countries, even now in the 21st century, that legally restrict women's freedom of movement or legally prohibit them from holding a vast array of different kinds of jobs.
And the same goes for the issue of health. My mom mentioned earlier that we have seen a decline in maternal mortality. We've seen a decline of more than 40% in the last 20 years. That is remarkable progress. But still, more than 800 women every day die due to complications of pregnancy and childbirth. So again, we can't mistake progress for success. And factors like geography, income, age, race, ethnicity, disability status, sexual orientation often also constrain the ability of women to access healthcare, whether you're across the world or in wealthier countries like here in the United States.
I think that's an important point I just want to pause on. Even in wealthier countries like our own, it really makes a difference as to your economic status, whether or not you are going to be able to participate fully, get the health care that you need, although we've made a lot of progress on that, get the education that you need, although it still has to be more affordable. So we have seen progress everywhere. But we've also seen concerted efforts to try to stall that progress or even turn the clock back in too many places.
And moving away from health, there are other areas where we've seen, even on a relative scale, considerably less progress. And we need to accelerate and concentrate the pace of change. Women are still dramatically underrepresented in leadership positions, including here in the United States, particularly when we look at the corporate sector. The Washington Post recently published an article that I tweeted about because I just found this so shocking that I felt the need to share it, and I'm just going to repeat it here. So if you follow me on Twitter, I apologize for repeating myself. That there are more men on corporate boards named John, Robert, William, or James in the United States than there are women in total. That is simply unacceptable.
Change your names.
No. Change the system. Keep your names. And we laugh, and humor is important for those of us that are earnest do-gooders, as my dad says. But it raises an important point. So often, the issue of gender equality, I think, is obscured by the fairly entrenched belief that women can only have one identity. That women can just be a mother or a professional, that women can just be a daughter or a student. When in reality, as those of us that are women know, we can fill many roles. And ultimately, full participation means each one of us having the right to choose those roles at the right time, as is right for us and our families.
So we hope that this serves as a call to action, because yes, a lot has changed, but there's so much more that needs to be done. Just in the last few days, Germany has adopted a law mandating that 30% of the members on corporate boards be women. And I think that that represents a level of frustration that progress hasn't happened more incrementally, more voluntarily. So whether you're in Germany or the United States or anywhere else in the world, we should celebrate the accomplishments of the past 2 decades and recognize that a lot has happened. But we also have to agree that full participation is the unfinished business of the 21st century. So let's work together. Let's make this happen. Let's be as committed as we can. We're going to be rolling this out in New York on Monday.
And we hope that those of you who are in New York City will join us.
Right.
It is a sincere offer, so please take us up on it.
Just be sure to let us know. We'll make sure there's a place for you. Tomorrow in New York, there's a great women's march that is being put together by the UN Women's Agency, which is going to be totally focused on trying to raise public awareness. So we just wanted to share it with you before we share it with anybody else, because we've been so moved and inspired by the commitments and the energy that you're bringing to social action, to justice, to fairness, to participation.
But before we launch the report on Monday, and we really do hope that those of you who are in New York, and there were lots of hands that went up in the middle of this center section, so I hope that we'll see you all there. Oh yeah, you don't have to just be in the center section. The sides are equally welcome to participate fully, pun intended. Tomorrow is actually the launch of our efforts through something that we're calling Not There, which is a pretty apt title because for those of you who may follow my mom or me on social media, we will literally not be there tomorrow. We will be blacking out our profile pictures to help generate attention and hopefully engage interest in the ways in which women still are not there. In all the different areas that we've talked about, and even more the areas that we will highlight in the report launch and in the coming days and weeks. So we hope that helps people who may not be able to empathize with the challenges that women still face across the world. Imagine some of those challenges by confronting the absence of women on social media. And so we hope that you'll join this Not There effort. We hope that you'll change your Twitter pages and profiles, your Facebook page and profile, your Instagram page and profile. We hope that you'll encourage your friends to do the same. This is not just for the women in the audience. We hope that the men will similarly choose to blacken out their profiles in solidarity.
So consider it a metaphor for the current state of the world in which women aren't participating fully. They're missing from boardrooms, from high schools, from national legislatures. And images will be replaced with a simple URL, not-there.org, where people can learn more about the data we've shared with you. And Chelsea and I did a little talk on Snapchat, which is talking about women disappearing, that we also hope you'll take a look at. And then let your imaginations take over and figure out all the ways that you can share with your friends the not there metaphor. And talk with friends and colleagues and others, because we can't do this without all of you.
Which I think is the perfect note to end on. To ensure that women and girls are visible, are counted, are accounted for, are supported, are inspired, are encouraged, and ultimately are enabled to fully participate. Yes, we will not be there tomorrow, but ultimately we all do need to be there together into the future, each and every one of us. And we're so thrilled that all of you are with us here at CGIU this weekend, and we hope that you will join our full participation effort tomorrow and in the time ahead. And so now I'd like to exit the stage with my mother and ask onto the stage, although I think there'll be some stage management first, my father,
yes,
who is such a strong and stalwart advocate for women and girls around the world, and certainly within his own home. And I just am so grateful and proud again to be their parents. To be their parents, to be their child. That they're my parents.
She actually has done some parenting of us. Thank you all.
Thank you.